Nancy Pelosi responding as only she could to the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Keep in mind, once again, I mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. This is a woman who just went to the mat to make sure an anti-choice lawmaker, Henry Cuellar, won by like a couple hundred votes. And now here she is rending her garments, clutching her pearls about the overturning of Roe versus Wade when she is one of the people in a position of power to actually do something if she cared to. Her response was classic. You know, this is also the woman who brought out, Lin-Manuel Miranda. What was that on the occasion of January 6th? Was that it? That she brought the show tunes in for that occasion? Well, in response to the overturning of Roe, she had this poem to read.
I am personally overwhelmed by this decision. From time to time, I quote this poem by Ehud Manor. He's an Israeli poet. I met his wife when I've been in Israel. He says, I have no other country, even though my land is burning. Only a word in Hebrew penetrates my veins, my soul, with an aching body and with a hungry heart. Here is my home. I will not be silent, for my country has changed her face. My country has changed her face. I shall not give up on her. I shall remind her and sing into her ears until she opens her eyes. Clearly, we hope that the Supreme Court would open its eyes.
Wow.
I really don't care how you feel, Nancy Pelosi, whether you're personally overwhelmed or what poem it makes you think of. I want to know what you're going to do. I want to know what the plan is. So unless you're talking about that, I really don't want to hear it. And of course, we know what the plan ultimately is because in concert with the poem, she also sent out a fundraising pitch. You can go ahead and put this up on the screen. Our friends over at the Gravel Institute. Nancy Pelosi just sent out her first email fundraising off the decision overturning Roe versus Wade. And this puppy went out fast, too. They had it queued up, ready to go. I need your immediate attention. We can rise up, meet this once-in-a-generation moment. Can you chip in $15 so we can win these midterms and finally codify reproductive rights into law? I'm sorry, but you already have majorities. Like, it makes no sense.
I think back to Obama. I mean, he said in 2008 that he would codify Roe versus Wade. He probably had the best chance of everybody.
He had a supermajority.
He had a supermajority in the Senate and the House of Representatives. Easily, actually, could have done it if they wanted to. Or at the very least, you know, whoever the pro-life Democrat. I'm trying to think of who they were at the time. Maybe like Mary Landrieu and Ben Nelson. I think that was his name. Anyway, it would have been a fight at the time, but they didn't even try. Yeah, look, I think that immediately just issuing like the poem and then it's like the grief. I just don't understand who this is landing with. You know, I see everybody sharing that quote from the dissent. They're like, on behalf of the millions of women, like, we dissent, as if that's a piece of action. Like, I don't understand who this is directed towards. It just brings me back to what we talked about previously. I see all of these groups all over DC fundraising so millions of dollars off. It's like, what are you guys doing?
What's the plan?
Yeah, it's like, what is your plan?
Literally, what's the plan?
What are you trying to do here?
I mean, it really is just a perfect encapsulation of the politics of like personal narcissism and virtue signaling, and like that's an end in and of itself when, yeah, this happened because of 50 years of conservative organizing and determination and they, you know, to get to this result. So what's your equivalent of that? And not just on this, but on any number of issues. What is actually the plan? I don't care about your poem. I care about your plan. That's the bottom line.
I think it is going to be tough for her and for Democratic leadership come next time when if they're in the minority, if by some crazy chance they do get into the majority, because they clearly have a very difficult time playing the coalitional game and even having a plan kind of whatsoever. I mean, if you look at Biden, there's nothing being proposed. So even if there is energy to that extent, like to what end is it going to be applied to? Republican voters knew what they were voting for.
The only thing that can bail them out is like, again, they'll go to the well of, but the Republicans are worse. So like, you have to keep us here, even though we're not going to do shit, at least we're not going to pass the national abortion ban, right? I mean, that really.
No, I get it.
Play. And, but there are a lot of signs that this is increasingly falling flat. It's especially falls flat with younger Americans.
Yep.
I mean, Biden's approval rating is at like 25% with the youngest cohort. And this is the group that supported him the most in terms of the presidential election. At the beginning of his presidency, he had very high approval ratings with that group. And they just see through all of this and see how hollow it ultimately is. So I don't think you're getting that back. I don't think they're going to be satisfied with just the Republicans are worse. Now, does that mean they're going to? Probably what it means is they're either going to put their energies into, candidates that they feel are going to be a challenge to that system, into the grassroots labor movement, or some of them will just say, this isn't for me, I'm checking out.
Yeah, they certainly could.
That is very sad. Yeah. That is very sad.
There could be a big checkout. I see that.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.